Good morning, dear students. So we were to engage a live class today, but because I had exam invigilation duty, I could not engage a live session. But in order to compensate for that, I'm recording a session, and so that you can listen to it later also, probably before preparing for your exams and all. So in the previous class, we were discussing the poem "Roadside Stand," and we stopped when we just had 2 or 3 lines to finish. First we will finish that and then move on to the next poem. So the last couple of lines went like this: I cannot help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain, and then the next day as I come back into the scene, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. So I mentioned that this one stroke of which can fix everything can be a reference to death, or what I mentioned as euthanasia or mercy killing earlier. So many farmers commit suicides. It could be a mention related to that one stroke which can fix all these problems that the farmers are facing. But after I wake up from this thought, then I move on with my life once again, and the next day also the farmer sets up his stand waiting for somebody to come and help them and put them out of their pain, or put them out of their troubles. Okay, so again the poem actually ends with some hope. So it's actually about to round off, it's about the suffering of farmers and their hopes to have a better lives, and they're expecting the city dwellers to somehow help them by buying their produce. But the city dwellers are actually greedy good doers. They do not pay attention to these farmers or the villagers at all. It's actually showing the contrast between the urban and rural life, and also the pessimistic state of the villagers or the farmers. Okay, and we have to move on to the next poem. And Reenu ma'am had given you a wonderful introduction yesterday. You guys spoke about Bob Dylan, the Nobel Prize winning singer songwriter, and the kind of work that he does. And also you guys had a discussion about what this poem is about. Ma'am told you that it is about the civil rights movement and also the internal civil war happening in the United States. So in the United States, especially among the youth, there is this understanding that many policies of the government are actually, or of the authority, are actually not in favor of equality. There is color discrimination, there is racial discrimination, and also there is war. America is actually was actually creating problems back then in countries like Vietnam, and also the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombing had happened. So many people were actually thinking about the wrongdoings of the authorities or the governments, and for many progressive thinkers, it was actually time for a change. It was actually time to change all these norms and conventions of the society. A kind of revolution is what they are asking for, what the young, creative, imaginative minds are asking for. So this song is actually a song of a kind of revolution, a kind of change, a kind of social transformation. Okay, so without much ado, I'll get into the poem. The poem is titled "The Times They're A-Changin." So you can see that the spelling is slightly different. That's because it's actually a kind of folk song, a song which belongs to the folk tradition, and it has a musical quality rather than clinging on to very precise spellings and vocabulary. Okay, so let's try to read the poem. Come, gather round, people. Okay, it's actually a song, so I'll try to sing even if I'm not a singer. Come, gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown. So it's actually a wake-up call to the people around, people who are roaming around. Come, gather around, and admit and accept the fact that the water around you has grown. So the water around you is growing, which means that the social conditions are changing. The water around you is rising or growing, which means that the social conditions are changing. Accept it soon. it's better that you accept it soon. Otherwise, what will happen? Otherwise, you will be drenched to the bone. You will drown in that water. You will drown in that water of social change, or which is described as you will be drenched to the bone. You will be drowned to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, so if you think that your time is worth saving, then you better start swimming. You better start swimming, because the times are changing, or you will sink like a stone. So there is so much of transformation happening. It's compared to probably something like a flood or the flow of water. This kind of a social transformation is compared to something like a flood or the flow of water. So if you don't learn to swim, or if you don't learn to adapt to the times, you will drown. You will drown like a stone. For the times they are changing. It means because the times are changing. For means because the times are changing. So next, this is a general call, wake up call to almost all the citizens. Now he's focusing on, come writers and critics, come intellectuals, the writers and critic, who prophetize with your pen. So it is said that writers or critics are actually prophets, who actually are visionary people who think about the future, or have visions about the future. So who prophetize with your pen. They write about the upcoming future with their pens. And keep your eyes wide, open. So be observant of the changes that are happening in the society. That is what is being told by that statement. Keep your eyes open to the kind of changes that are happening in the society. The chance will not come again. This kind of a revolutionary opportunity will not come again. And don't speak too soon. But of course, the writers and critics have to speak, but not too soon. Don't be too quick to make decisions. Why is it that they should not speak or make decisions very soon? Why is it that? For the wheel is still in spin. For the wheel of time is still spinning, or the wheel of change is still spinning. So things keep on changing. So if you make a decision now, or if you voice out something now, it could be wrong at the very next moment, because the times are very quickly changing. What you think is right now can be wrong in the very next moment. So do not make very quick decisions, and don't say anything very quickly. So for the wheel is still spinning, and there is no telling who that is naming. For the loser now will be later to win. So you can never tell, because the changes are happening so quickly, so that the person who is a winner now can be a loser tomorrow or the very next moment. For somebody who is on the high pedestal of glory now, can be a complete loser the very next day. So because the times they are changing, for the times they are changing. Now it's a refrain which can be seen in all stanzas. Each stanza has probably around 11 lines, I guess. Yeah, around 10 or 11 lines, and every stanza is ending with this refrain, for the times they are changing. So the second stanza was an address to the writers and critics. Now the third stanza is actually an address to the politicians and the leaders. The third stanza is addressed towards, come senators and congressmen. Senators and congressmen are the politicians. Okay, please heed the call. Please listen to the call of change. Please listen to the call of social transformation. Do not stand in the doorway. Do not block the change. Do not stand in the doorway to block this transformation. Don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be the who has stalled. So who will get hurt? Imagine that a huge crowd is barging into a room. So whoever stands still might get hurt. So if you do not adapt to the change, you might get hurt. So keep moving with the flow. If you do not flow along, you might get hurt. One who stalls, one who stands still might get hurt. There is a battle outside. There is a battle outside. It could be a reference to the internal civil war within America, and also the wars taking place outside, like in Vietnam. And it's raging. The battle is actually raging. Its intensity is going higher. It will soon shake your windows. You know, sometimes whenever there are a lot of problems happening, we have this feeling that it does not affect us personally. We are very safe inside our homes, but the speaker here is saying that it's going to very quickly start affecting you also. It's going to start very quickly start affecting you also. It will soon shake your windows. It will soon shake your home and rattle your walls, shake your walls, for the times they are changing. The problems will quickly reach you also, because the times are changing. Come, mothers and fathers. Now the next people being addressed are mothers and fathers. Come, mothers and fathers, throughout the land, mothers and fathers throughout the land, come, join us in this change. Don't criticize what you cannot understand. Most of the time the parents cannot understand the ways of the new generation. So the speaker is saying that do not criticize the ways of the new generation if you do not understand them. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. So the new generations, your sons and the daughters, are presently beyond your control and command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Your old ways of thinking are soon to be old, and they are aging. They are to be discarded. They are to be thrown away. Please get out of the new one if you cannot lend your hand, and if you cannot join the new generations in the new transformation, please stand aside at least. If you you cannot join or adapt to the social transformation that is happening, at least stand aside, for the times they are changing, because the times are changing. The line is drawn, the curse is cast. Okay, the line is drawn. The new norms of the society, or the new rules of the transformation are set. The curse is cast, which means whatever is old is being condemned, is being set aside now. The slow one now will later be fast. Whoever is slow now can later be fast, as the present now will later be past. Just like the present moment will be past in the very next moment, everything is susceptible to change. Everything will keep on changing. The order is rapidly fading. The order, the rules, the present norms and conventions given by the authorities, or the power hierarchies presently, are actually rapidly changing, very quickly changing, fading. They are fading away. They are being wiped off. The present rules and conventions are being wiped off. And the first one now will later be last. And the first one now, whoever is on the top now, will later be on the bottom. The first one now will later be last, because the times there are changing, because the times are very quickly changing. So the basic crux of the poem, not a poem but rather a song. The song is actually a wake-up call to the new generation of America. It is saying that the times are changing. The values, the ideas and the political system, the norms and conventions of the society, everything is quickly changing. And if you do not accept this change, and if you do not learn to adapt to this change, you will be left behind. So be prepared for this kind of a social change. That is what our writer is telling us. Okay, so it is a very popular song. It is a revolutionary song, and as you know, he is a Nobel Prize winner also. So go through the song and understand the kind of ideas that it is trying to put forward. It's quite easy to understand, and it's because it's a song, but it's still very socially significant also. It converses with history, the American internal civil war, and also the wars happening outside, which are actually commissioned by the United States itself. So think of all these things and read the poem a couple of times and try to answer the questions that are out there at the back of the text. Okay, so I hope you guys would have understood the poem. So thank you for listening, guys. Take care.